Welcome to Naperville, Illinois. Yeah, my first time here in the regular season ever, JB, and quite
Really?
the happenings around here. Let me tell you something. I'm happy to be here. Where are you today?
I am in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm visiting the in-laws, and my brother-in-law and I are going to go see the LSU Tigers take on the University of Florida tonight in Death Valley. Not a D3 game, but a big SEC rivalry. It should be fun.
Well, JB, let's get this thing started. First things first, actually. Let me back out here and show folks we're getting ready on the field. There is North Central warming up here.
Yeah.
And you know what that means. This is Season 18 of In the Huddle. This is Game Day Live. So as I was getting our theme on, Trey Tetzlaff, who's now a coach for UWO, comes by and says hello. So all kinds of fun stuff going on around here. UWO was on the field earlier on, JB, and right now they are not anywhere to be found. A few players actually on the far end that we'll zoom in on a little bit later on as this game continues.
Okay.
JB, what's at stake here, or how are things playing out? Why is this an important game? Well, let's go to our top 40 and take people through what's going on here.
Yeah.
You can see here number one, but, you know, last week, obviously, when you look at the next piece of this pie, you look at UWO, and they jumped from 26th to 18th. They're 16 in D3 football's poll. I mean, what did you see last week in that Linfield game that made you probably boost them?
Well, I had Linfield pretty highly ranked in my preseason poll, and the Titans just came out and dominated, controlled them. We were trying to get London Little on the show Friday. Obviously, Coach Jennings jumped in to bail him out for whatever reason, but he had 5 receptions, 114 yards, was able to stretch the field. Their field goal kicker, Axel Veja Trejo, had 3 field goals, I think, from the 32 to 35-yard range. So, you know, this is a pretty complete team, and I know they were only 6-4 last year in the WIAC, but they look better, at least than we saw them kind of late last year. So maybe this is a season where the Titans take that next step.
Good point for sure right there. You know, you talk about the Titans. Let's talk also about NCC here. They are the top of the mountain basically now, again, one more time this year. And I got to talk to Coach Spencer. If you want to know how the quarterback situation is going to work, you kind of get an answer in my interview coming up here. Not entirely, but at least partially. So why don't we go to that interview for a good 9 minutes with Coach Spencer, which is always a good time and a lot of information always. And just a great guy. Love talking to Coach Spencer. You've seen it at the Stag Bowl with me and everything else. Here's Coach Brad Spencer talking to me about this game. Coach, we were talking earlier, you know, the last time I was at a regular season game at Benedetti Worley Stadium is never, I don't believe. Playoffs, yes. I've been to games on the road for you in Wheaton and Aurora, but never here for regular season. So first things first, tell me what I should expect different today than, let's say, playoffs.
I would think it'd be a lot of the same. Time of year, maybe weather will be a little bit different. The opponent's different. We're really excited to be playing UW Oshkosh, just a great opponent. They had a great win last week against Linfield, so you know they're going to be really confident. And, you know, rightfully so in the top 25. But, I think you're going to see a lot of the same, some good tailgating out there happening. Hopefully the Cardinal fans are supportive, and I know they're anxious to have a home opener. It's been since 2021 that we've had a home opener. I've never had a home opener as a head coach, so a little bit of a different experience. You like that for the young guys who have never traveled and don't know how to travel yet. It's good that they can sleep in their own beds, get up, do our routine, be in our dining hall, be in our meeting rooms. But we have a lot of veterans on this team. We have over 30 seniors, so they've played all over the country. They know how to play at home. They know how to play on the road. But should have a great day in Naperville.
I asked Coach Jennings this yesterday. I'll ask it to you today. Why did you schedule this game? Because as you and I both know, NPI is not exactly the friendliest thing if, God forbid, you lost this game and how it all works. But, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. I understand that. But why did you want this game compared to some of the other starting games that you've had in the past?
A lot of it for us is finding an opponent that we can regionally afford to play. There's some opponents that I've been in talk with, but they're in Texas or they're all over the country, and we just can't afford to unfortunately do that at our level. But to play UWO, we both wanted to play good football teams. Coach Jennings isn't afraid to play anybody. I mean, you're traveling on the road across the country week 1 and then coming down here week 2. So he's trying to build a culture there. He's been a head coach the same amount of time that I have. And so I think we kind of came up together as head coaches. We know each other. We played against each other as coordinators in the Stag Bowl in 2019. And I think we just mutually respect each other. Your comment about MPI, I would agree, it doesn't help. But the reality is we have a hard time getting games. Like, that's not a secret. I wish we could find a system where teams are rewarded for playing good teams. I mean, you see it on Saturdays on ESPN when, you have the Ohio States, the Notre Dames, the Texases all playing each other, and they're still able to get into their playoffs and their national championships. Our system, unfortunately, doesn't really allow that, especially if you slip up in your conference at all. I don't have a solution. I do think what we're doing is better. It's helping, bigger field, putting a system to it, and then sticking by it. I think that's important for fans and for players just to understand, what decisions are being made and why. If you at least have a line of thought that is consistent, I think that's a good step, and we've done that in large part. But it'd be great to be able to get to a place to where the top teams in the country could play each other in non-conferences and not feel like they're risking future seeding or even getting in the playoffs. I mean, there's teams, leagues. I think Wheaton College in our league last year was a casualty of that. They lost to Oshkosh by a score, then they lose to us, and that's it, and they're not in. I believe they're a team that should be in. And until we get to putting truly the best teams across the country in, not just somebody because they won a league, it's not going to happen. So you just got to win.
You want to win with a great quarterback. Luke Lannon obviously graduated off. Tell me about the process you went through to pick a starter, who your starter is, and what we should know about him in terms of why.
I'll answer most of those questions. We've had 3 guys, Calvin Lavery, Garrett Wilson, and then Demir Asheru going after that spot. They're all very different. They bring different things to the table in terms of experience, skill on the field, the types of players they are on the field. So you're going to see more than one today, I will tell you that, in different situations. That's the plan. That's not because we don't have a 1. That's because we feel like we have guys that can do different things that help the team in different situations in different ways. We have a clear 1. He's been 1. We're going to go with him, and you'll find that out here in about an hour and a half.
You want me to stick around? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Well, you've never been here for a regular season game, so I've got to try and keep you here as much as I can.
Well, we'll see how that scoreboard looks. Well, I got to do post-game interviews anyway, so I'll stick around. But, Coach, last thoughts. The success level you've enjoyed here, or earned, or however you want to call it, since 2019 with Coach Thorne, who we sent our best to, obviously, with his health issues and everything else. But, I mean, how does it feel coming into a season, season in, season out almost, and having that number 1 next to your name, do you feel a target? Do you feel like it's beneficial? How do you approach this situation now that you're kind of used to doing this?
Sure. I do think our players are accustomed to being in the spot that they're in. I don't feel any sort of pressure. Pressure is external. It's put on you by other folks. If you don't allow it to affect you, then it won't. And we see it as I see it as an honor and almost and a credit to the teams of the past, the coaches of the past, what our alums and players have done to get us to this point. You spoke about Coach Thorne, and certainly he did a lot to get us to where we're at. And his 5th year as head coach, we went to and won our first national title. That's remarkable. I've learned so much from him as a coach, as a coordinator, as a play caller, looking at football offensively and defensively. I learned from him for 18 years. So to me, it's really just giving credit to them, and it's not about anything that we've done. We're here doing what we believe is our job. And as long as we continue to make All-American humans and help them get jobs and win football games at the same time, then we feel like we're doing what we should be doing. And Coach Karras, our famous cross-country track and field coach, passed away this week, and he was at North Central for 60 years. He was part of 32 national titles. I mean, just think about that for a second. 42 of his last 47 years, he finished in the top 4 in the country every year. It's remarkable, and his motto is run for fun and personal best, and he came up with that motto because he wanted to give his players, his runners, a way to access personal gain in a team sport. And that's very much in line with what our program is about, and getting 1% better each and every day and being your best mentally, physically, and spiritually so that you can contribute to your team and make the team the best that it can be. And I just feel like as the head coach of this program, I'm the one driving the ship right now, but I'm only in that position for a little bit, however long that is. And I'm very fortunate to have been here, coached for John and Jeff Thorne, seen the build. I was a player. We were 3-7. We were 6-4. I was part of that. I saw that. So you never lose appreciation for where we're at. It never gets old. But the credit goes to me. To me, it goes to those folks, and we're just doing our job.
You're doing a great job. Whatever you're doing, don't stop doing it, because you guys are just the standard. I mean, that's the word for it at this point. You are the Whitewater, the Mount Union of this time, basically, and you know what that means, having your history here. You are those guys. You're a dynasty of sorts right now, and we'll see where it keeps going here for you.
Well, I appreciate that. I certainly don't compare ourselves to those two programs. Their history and their success is much greater than ours. Everybody in the country is trying to get to those standards, whether it's Mount Union, and they continue with new head coaches to go back to Stag Bowls, or the Whitewaters, Coach Leipold, who I know well. I would never put myself in their category, but thank you.
Well, congratulations nonetheless. Best of luck today. This should be an interesting one, to say the least. I'm excited to see a really great top 20 game here on your field today.
It will be. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're back here live at Benedetti Worley Stadium, NCC's home stadium, and their first game of the season, JB, as they come out here with a top 20 opponent. As we said in that interview, they are facing Oshkosh, who is 1-0 and beat Linfield last week in style. And Coach Spencer, after we talked in the interview, gave me some thoughts about how they did really play. He's played in McMinnville before, he said, and it is not an easy place to win and play. You can see the white jerseys in the distance. That is Oshkosh warming up in this game. JB, there are other games going on right now in this nation. I'm going to send it to you to give us some updates. I saw one game that's almost at halftime, and it looks like it's a pretty good game, to say the least. I think you know which one I'm talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think so. But I'll rattle off some scores for everybody since we're getting close to the half on some of the noon Eastern kickoffs. St. John Fisher leads St. Lawrence 21-7. Mass Maritime 21-0 over Dean. Misericordia mid second quarter leads 14-7 over Albright. Muhlenberg leads Endicott 27 at the. Albion is up big 29-3 over Bluffton right before halftime. Roanoke is winning 3-0 against Greensboro in the second quarter. Jumping around, Husson is up. Springfield is up on Husson 14-0 halfway through the second quarter. Bridgewater was beating Susquehanna for a while, but the Riverhawks have scored a couple touchdowns. It's now, I believe it's 21-10. Susquehanna in that one. That was a bit of a surprise. Hopkins is winning 21-10 right before the half. Hobart's hanging on to a 10-7 lead at halftime. And then I think the game that you were talking about, Frank, and I'm just trying to pull it up here. Where did it go? La Crosse and Carnegie Mellon, 14-7. The Eagles are winning, but we thought that maybe Carnegie Mellon might be in trouble in that one. And lo and behold, the Tartans defense is stepping up, even with all the graduations that they've had, loss of talent. They're doing what they do there in Pittsburgh, and that's an impressive first half performance by Carnegie Mellon.
Well, the one thing that we were concerned about for Carnegie Mellon, though, in this situation was the offense and all the changes on offense. And so they've got to put up more than 7, obviously. They're already down 14-7, but they're probably going to have to put up in the 20s in this game to win. And I don't know if they have that in them. We'll find out, obviously, as that game continues. I was actually pointing out, I couldn't get that low on my screen, believe it or not, but Hopkins, Carroll, that game really deep into that first half. And seeing that score as high as it was, I thought we might see a little bit more defense early on in that game. It's not panning out that way necessarily. JB, let's take a look at kind of what's happened to these conferences involved in this game coming into this week. I believe I can get this. There we go. First, we've talked about it. DeWiac or WIAC or whatever you want to call it. Look at La Crosse. They're
7-0.
They're dragging down the whole thing, the 8th place there, only because they hadn't played a game. 7-0, as you said, and you can see some of those games are ongoing right now. These are not live score slides, so they are not.
I got a live score for you.
Go ahead. I'll take a live score.
Grove City.
That one too.
Grove City has taken a 7-0 lead on Mount Union with 10:22 to go in the first quarter. The Wolverines strike first.
Look at Dina Nano scripting his first offensive series, I would have to guess there.
Yeah.
He's just a great offensive mind, and you know what? Maybe I should not have doubted him to that degree, but it's still a lot of game to go there. CCIW, on the other hand, had a good overall or decent overall week, 5-3 with 2 teams that did not come out of the gate, Elmhurst and North Central. And so 5-3 without North Central playing, great. Elmhurst maybe would have dragged it back down to 6-4, who knows. But, long story short is that's pretty good. That's the kind of thing they're going to need for a Wheaton this year to get in versus what happened last year. And you heard Coach Spencer talk about the Wheaton situation from last year, that he feels like they kind of got screwed, to say the least, on the way things played out with MPI. But it was a pretty interesting back and forth on MPI with him, to say the least. And, he doesn't hate it, but he also thinks it can be improved to embrace playing a game like this today. And I've asked both coaches, I'm going to ask you now. Would you schedule this game if you were head coach right now in the MPI era?
I mean, it depends on how you look at it, right? I mean, I liked yesterday hearing Coach Jennings do we'll play anyone, anytime, anywhere, any place. I mean, that you kind of need that attitude to be a football coach, I think. But at the same time, this is probably a potential loss for the Titans, which doesn't give them a lot of wiggle room in arguably the toughest conference in the nation. And we know that there's going to be a lot of close games, and going 7-3 now is risky business, unless there's some kind of crazy tie with 2 or 3 teams at the top of the WIAC. you really need to win at least 8 or 9 games to have a chance at the playoffs under this system. So there could be a strong argument to be made for a coach to be like, you know what, pad your schedule a little bit, but at the same time, if you want to compete for a national championship, the best way to find out is to play the defending champs. So I think you can make an argument either way. I lean towards we'll play in a parking lot if we have to, but maybe that's just me.
You in the parking lots, I tell you. A lot of things happen in the parking lots with JB. We found that out the hard way. Okay, folks. This is a game that Coach Jennings talked about yesterday. He thinks his team will win by a touchdown in our interview with him. And if you want to go back and watch that interview, we invite you to because it was a good one. Just go to our Twitter pages and Facebook pages, and you'll find it there. As I talk about things here, I believe North Central is about to come out in their
just got quiet
red gear. Yeah, only for so long. They always put me on.
Are they going to come out to Big Bottoms, really, by Queen? I love it. Yep.
There you
Must
go.
be the linemen. Okay, there are some Big Bottoms in that group. The tree trunks, guys that can deadlift 500 pounds and squat 450, 500. Big Bottoms, I love it. Here come the linemen.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some big guys
folks.
there.
Getting ready for this game.
One of the things we talked about in our preseason show, Frank, was this is going to be a new unit for NCC. I think they graduated 4 of the starters from the Stag Bowl. Obviously, Coach Spencer is going to build out, a 2, 3, 4 deep here, but there's going to be some new guys on the line protecting this new quarterback who I think you know who it's going to be, but we'll get to that eventually. It's not exactly what was reported. So
Well, no, I think it's what was reported. He just wouldn't report all the way. I'm going to tell you that I have inside information enough to be surprised at the answer. That's all I can say out of confidence here. I'm surprised a little bit about what the answer is on who the one is. But again, he said it flat out to me even after the interview. There will be multiple quarterbacks in this game. So don't think otherwise here. If you're Oshkosh, do you change anything up from last week, though? Defensively, they looked really good against Linfield, who had a multiple quarterback situation, I believe, going on there at certain points and times in that game, if I was watching correctly when I peeked in. So, and the tone and tenor of a game is tough when you start switching quarterbacks. Ask any center out there about the cadence, about the just style. And this is why we had said last year when we saw Linfield, Mary Hardin Baylor in that playoff game, it seemed like Linfield just didn't have the momentum carry forward as they were getting peaks in that game, and they became valleys ultimately because switching quarterbacks just seemed to take the wind out of their sails at certain points. Does UWO attack when they see a quarterback change? How do you handle that situation?
Well, having watched NCC now pretty closely for the last 5 or 6 years, one of the things we know without a doubt is that they're going to come out and they're going to want to run power. They might bring an extra tight end or an extra lineman or fullback kind of a thing. They're going to try to pound on the interior line early on and then look for opportunities to pass the ball to guys, since the defense for the Titans will likely be, kind of an 8 in the box type of thing, and will challenge whoever this new quarterback is to throw on them. And so I'm expecting a lot of heavy power eye type of formations and runs by the Cardinals early on. I think if you're the Titans, you probably want to blitz and try to, hit gaps to try to blow up run plays. You're probably going to have to play some man defense on the back end, depending on how many guys you're sending. That could be a challenge if this new QB has a quick release and can get the ball out to guys in space. So we'll have to wait and see. It'll be a chess match for sure. Both great coaches. I know that from the Titans side of things, like Coach Jennings told us yesterday, they'll try to utilize guys like Little and fake motion and different things to try to get him, utilize his speed to stretch the field. He's going to be in a mismatch of sorts from a height perspective going against Roby, who's a much taller corner. So they're going to have to look for ways to get Little open, maybe on some slant or crossing routes and things like that, different trick motions to fool the Cardinals. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think this is going to be a little bit of a chess match early on, a lot of pound it type of football, and whoever kind of gets some momentum going, we'll try to hang on to it and see what happens.
Come back out to a full shot of me here, but Benedetti Worley is set up in a similar way as any other stadium. Behind me, I'm on the home side right now, and the visitor side is across the field for me. Right now, filling in with some yellow back there. We'll try to get a better shot of that with our Zoom cam in a little bit. But it's not that far. Ultimately, Wisconsin is right north of Illinois, for those that aren't aware, and Whitewater is actually one of the closest ones out of the box once you drive north from Chicagoland. But Naperville, not too far. I'm not sure if they did an overnight or not, but Oshkosh with Peter Jennings has been close to the top in terms of getting through playoff runs or trying to get in that conversation deeper. But JB, this team, Oshkosh, has not, I don't think, performed fully at the degree that they've wanted to necessarily over these last few years. And with the start like last week, is this a chance finally for them to go full bore here and make a playoff run if they can get in a tough WEAC situation? You heard that interview with Coach yesterday. What's your feeling about him and his leadership right now with them?
Well, I mean, I think his attitude, and you have to have this attitude, I think, going into a game when you're going to play the number one unanimous team in the country, you have to basically be like, you know what, we can win. And I like the confidence. I think that they're going to be challenged to keep up with some of the athletes that North Central has. We saw the same thing in the 90s with the Purple Raiders. We saw the same thing in the 2000s with the Warhawks. You get these programs that are on a roll of winning national championships that opens up a recruiting situation that brings people that maybe normally wouldn't consider Division III, and it's tough to go up against that when you have a team made of mostly D3 guys. Now that said, the WIAC is the exception because they're really kind of an FCS league playing in Division III. So they do have a lot of the athletes and the size and all the things that you need to compete. So I think it'll be an interesting game. I think Coach Jennings might take some calculated risks potentially. You're on the road, you're up against the champs. Maybe you try a fake punt. Maybe you try an onside kick when North Central isn't looking for it, or you try some other kind of trick plays that you didn't do against Linfield because you're saving them for this game. So I think you have to do the kitchen sink approach when you're playing a team as good as the Cardinals, and just give it your best shot and see what happens. And hopefully you can keep your guys focused and keep their heads up, even if things start to go the other way, to keep fighting and not get discouraged.
Again, you can see the crowd filling in for UWO across the way from us here. JB, let's also go back, and some of these games are already underway. If you see one that you can update the score on, go ahead. But yesterday we went through
I got a couple.
some key games.
I got a couple updates for you.
Go ahead.
John Carroll kicked a field goal right before the half, so it's 21-13 Hopkins. Game's a little closer than at least I thought. I predicted a much wider margin of victory. Hopkins still in the lead, on pace to potentially finish with 42 points, but Carroll not too far behind. We'll see what halftime adjustments happen there and what goes on. Mount Union did respond, and so it's 7-7, quick score back. That's going to be a back-and-forth battle. I think we'll see if the Wolverine defense can tamp down and try to keep that Mount Union offense in check. If they can hold them to 28 to 35 points, that would be big.
And let's look at some of the preview games here. Actually, one thing I'm going to say as we let you look at this page, folks, we did some further research on a question that came up, and actually one of the Oshkosh coaches who used to be at Wisconsin Whitewater came up to me, and he said, I was very offended by your inability to answer that question yesterday.
Yeah. That's right. Our bad.
The team that knocked off, or the number one teams that have lost in the regular season in the D3Football.com top 25 era. And the answer is the last time it happened was 2022 when Whitewater beat Mary Hardin Baylor. And that was early on in the season in that non-conference game. The previous time to that, 2016, at the end of the regular season when John Carroll beat Mount Union. Then before that, 1 year earlier, Whitewater getting knocked off by this UWO team 10 years ago. And then 3 years earlier than that, in 2012, Whitewater getting knocked off by Buffalo State. So it has only happened
Whitewater.
4 times since 2003. 4 times since 2003 has number one been knocked off. The D3Football.com top 25, number one, I should say at least. That team getting knocked off in the regular season 4 times. And Oshkosh was one of the teams to do it to Whitewater. Can Oshkosh do it today to North Central? We predicted no. Peter Jennings predicted yes. I'm shocked. But nonetheless, we'll see how it goes. JB, take us through the slides here and fill in some scores as you've had them.
All right, let's see what we got here. So yeah, in Region 1, we've had a few of these games kick off and should be underway. The one game that I'm excited about, Frank, is that Salve game, because that was one of the very few games that you and I differed on picks-wise.
The only one, no?
And guess who's winning that game, Frank?
Salve.
Salve is up 28-6 at the start of the third quarter. Big momentum for the Seahawks. They're looking like they're on their way to a 2-0 start. Impressive there. Let's see, Husson, Springfield, where are those guys? You know what? You'll like this one, Frank. Union 6, Cortland 7 at the start of the third quarter. Well, that's Region 2. But elsewhere in Region 1, we got Vermont State Castleton's blanking Norwich 27-0. Let's see, I'm trying to find the Coast Guard game, but I'm not able to locate it yet. Washington Lee is beating Wittenberg. Mount Union's now up 14-7. Rowan's up 13-0. Kings is losing to Del Val 7-0 at the start of the second quarter. So I'm going to have to dig around. The scoreboard is not doing so hot.
Well, somebody's on the road today. That's probably why. But you can see coming up here, I just saw the entire NCC team huddle up there. The Mount Union game, which you just told us about, John Carroll Hopkins, you said it was a one-possession game, I believe, at this point. And last time we checked, lacrosse, Carnegie Mellon was also. Has that changed?
No, Carnegie Mellon and lacrosse are still at the half. It's 14-7, Eagles with the lead. So, I mean, on one hand, I think that's a win for Carnegie Mellon in the first half to a certain extent to hold this offense to only 14 points. But to your point, the Tartans going to need to do something offensively to make this a game, because they can only score another touchdown in the second half.
That's what we saw against RPI last season. Granted, RPI, I think, struggled to get 8 points on the board last year. But it just you need to find the offense somewhere. You can't just sit there at 0 or 7 all game long, because eventually something's going to break in that game. And that was the feel of it. Took a little while for lacrosse to really get the momentum last year in week 1 at RPI. I found out, again, lacrosse drove to that game, just like they did to the RPI game. Again, not a short trip, but I'm sure they used it to see the sights and stop off in a few places. So, they are using these road trips well. It's interesting how lacrosse can do these games when North Central is saying, Coach Spencer, he can't afford to do a Texas-type game or something like that in the regular season for out-of-conference games. Interesting dynamic there.
Yeah, I think our buddy Steve Ehrlich, who's calling the Dips games today, he runs a D3 playbook. I subscribe to it. It's an interesting kind of daily update on D3. He did provide a report that shows what different D3 programs spend, and I think you could probably get your answer from that, from a perspective of like why lacrosse is able to do that. Real quick, Frank, before we talk about Region 3, I do have an update on one of our highlighted Region 1 games. Curry College is hanging on to a 1.7-6 lead over Coast Guard. Not the offensive blowout that we thought with both of these great running backs. So defensive battle so far in Massachusetts.
North Central has gone back in the locker room. Yeah, sorry, I should have caught that. But North Central back in the locker room. You can see Oshkosh still out there warming up, and the referees getting ready as well for this game. JB, the Region 3 games we had on the screen, Belhaven, Trinity, McMurray, Hardin, Simmons, DePauw Center, all starting at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 Central. So, this time of year is still really hot in a lot of the areas where the SAA and the ASC and et cetera play. Oh, we just had a Cardinal sighting there.
A real card.
Call them anytime. 24 hours a day.
Hold on, he's coming back into focus any second now. It's about to happen. We're about to get a lot of Cardinal, I think, too, when I do this. It's going to be painful.
Oh, all right. Where is he?
Hold on. Here he is. Here he is. Here he's coming.
Stay hydrated, energized, and healthy this year.
There it is. Oh, you can see the feathers. There we go. Oh yeah, he's got the foam finger and everything. He's ready. Got to give this guy a championship belt or something.
Anything you'd like to say?
I don't think they're allowed to talk.
Number one. Yeah. He's blowing kisses to you, JB.
Blowing kisses.
There you go. There you go. Love the helmet, by the way.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
he's rocking the helmet up there. I love
best of luck
it.
to you, guys. Thank you.
That's awesome. Hey, Frank, I got a question for you.
Yes, I'm just thinking to myself, we're going to hear about that one for probably the next week, okay? Go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah, of course. So remember when we were in Troy last year and the lacrosse team, came, the UWO lacrosse, not the lacrosse team, but the Wisconsin Lacrosse Eagles, appeared from the locker room, and we were just blown away by how big they were, right? You're on the field. Do the Titans have that same kind of look where you're like, holy smokes, I can't believe these are D3 guys, just with the linemen and just the size and speed?
Take a look for yourself. I mean, this is now the second year in a row I've seen an Oshkosh game, don't forget, because I was at Wisconsin Whitewater when they played them last year. Both teams were huge on the sideline. There's no doubt about that. Lacrosse seemed to still have a slight edge in that, but North Central's right up there with lacrosse. So, Oshkosh might be actually slightly smaller than North Central when it comes to, the overall size. The other thing to start thinking about, JB, is that North Central is really starting to tout transfers. One of their quarterbacks here, Wilson, is a transfer from Oklahoma State. Okay? This is not just restrained to Mary Hardin Baylor or Mount Union out there. There is a lot of movement going on, and that whole NCAA or House versus NCAA settlement situation is going to change the real dynamic of how we look in our rosters in football in Division III. It's just going to. Okay, and Coach Spencer and I were talking about it after our interview. He said, we're already a beneficiary of it here, but it's going to change a lot of things coming up here very soon, and. Other teams are going to have to get into that dynamic too. But what's happening is that the players that want to come down from Division I are seeing the teams that can win championships or at least compete for them, and those are the schools they're choosing. Now, that's not limitless spots at those schools, but especially if you're the NESCAC. But long story short is that you're going to go to a North Central, Mount Union, Whitewater, or Mary Hardin Baylor, and that's going to possibly create the dynamic of even more separation between the haves and the have-nots, per se, in the recent D3 history. Throughout the COVID years, with the 5 years and all that stuff, I think it's really going to change the dynamic, and we'll see if Garrett Wilson plays much today. Again, Oklahoma State, Kirkland Michaud, UMHB, Illinois.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Well, even the guy from Utica who threw for 528 yards, he was a D1 transfer also. I don't remember what school, but, there's a big reason why they throttled W&J last weekend was because of
500 yards passing? Yeah, I think so. Somebody's secondary needed to be a little bit better that day. The Pack did not have a great week overall. That was just not a stellar conference. But, again, welcome back to out-of-conference play, Pack. This is possibly what happens when you don't play those games, and your only exposure out-of-conference is the playoffs. So, Joe O and company over there, I'm glad they made the change back. But, the people that wanted to stay at in-conference only, I should say, those are the people that you really have to question what the mentality was and how far back did it push that conference, except for maybe the cream of the crop there. I don't know. We're going to find out possibly the hard way. Grove City got some good experience in the playoffs. We know that much. But what about the rest of them? That's the question. We haven't looked at Region 4. Go ahead. Take us through what we may have scores on already, too.
Yeah, so far the only thing I've seen out of Region 4 at this point is the Wash-Lee-Wittenberg game. I think Washington Lee is up 14-0 late second quarter in that one. Not seeing a lot of kicks for the other games on updated just yet. So, yeah, what is going on here? Someone's got to get somebody working on the scoreboard. Maybe I need to do a Patreon donation or something.
A larger one. Oshkosh North Central.
Aurora's up 7.
Oh, go ahead.
Aurora's up 7-0 on Mount St. Joseph with 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. So that's one of the scores there. We're obviously waiting on North Central, Oshkosh. Oh yeah, and we got these. These are some of our 2 o'clock games in Region 5. Should be some good ones.
Yeah, Randolph-Macon Central is a big distance game. Some folks on the Quick Hits panel over at D3FB.com raised the specter of Central maybe upsetting Randolph-Macon. I don't know about that. I picked the other way on that one, I believe. Lake Forest, Illinois College, a big survival game not that far north of here. So we'll be watching that one for sure. And
I got a
finally,
funny update for
ahead.
you, Frank.
A funny update. I'll take.
So our friend Juan Sanchez is at the Rowan Moravian game. He reported that Jared Jenkins has a big knee brace on, so I don't know if he's playing or not. I didn't see him get too banged up against Muhlenberg, but something clearly happened there. Apparently one of the Prof's defensive tackles caught a punt and ran it back for a touchdown. So that might be something we have to focus in on crunch time for week 2. A defensive tackle punt return for a touchdown. Gotta love it.
I saw something like that last week in one of our crunch time games, I feel like, too, that we had a big man returning something that I was just like, wow, he's getting him the oxygen real quick. Anyway, Region 6, Co River Falls. So we'll see if River Falls can continue. Co against Cornell, it doesn't tell any story about who they are. So we'll learn who Co is, I think, today a little bit better. Minnesota Morris, St. John's. I don't think we're going to learn much except that St. John's has a good quarterback probably and the rest. Wartburg Stout starting up at 2 also.
That's interesting.
Eastern time. Yep, that's a very interesting game because, well, let's say it. Jimmy Martin from D1's Rejects has been touting the quarterback and the Stout offense all summer long, and here's their test against that Wartburg defense.
Hyping them up.
Yep, well, the Wartburg defense is no pushover over the last few years, even without Owen Grover there. It's been.
Oh, this is interesting, Frank.
Go ahead.
Just got an update off of Wabash Athletics Twitter feed. Apparently, there must be some kind of lightning or storming going on out in Indiana because they just reported anticipating teams returning to the field for warm-ups around 1:45 p.m. Eastern with a kickoff at 2 Eastern. So that game between them and Case has been delayed. The poor Spartans of Case, I mean, they just keep having weather issues, and it's only week 2. Come on, guys.
Oh, my God. I forgot that that's who it is, and that's 2 for 2.
Yeah.
If you want rain, if you have a drought going on, call up Case, and they will show up with the rain and lightning just for you. That's a great update. I will tell you, though, that here I flew into a thunderstorm, literally, as I landed this morning around 7:30 local time, 8:30 Eastern, and we hit the ground hot. We almost had a break hard enough that we almost saw crash to the seat in front of us because of the amount of wind and power behind that. So those storms might be hitting Indiana right now to our south. That might be what's going on. Or at least whatever front is coming through is carrying it through. So the storm stopped around an hour and a half ago. Yes. What do you got?
So do you think D3 Nation is ready for the 3rd Division to be in attendance at a game in North Carolina? I don't know. Or Tennessee, actually. Sewannee's hosting Brevard.
Yep. Coach
what do you
Hyatt, if Coach Hyatt wins that game, I should have written him to be like, make sure you give the guy a hard time, the 3rd Division. And usually nameless, faceless, but he's gonna show his face. I think this time, maybe. Who knows? With the winning team, but I know he was taking it seriously all week about how to do post-game interviews the right way.
I know you've been talking to him for sure.
Absolutely, and so is the rest of his staff. And that's what you want to see. You want to see guys that aren't used to that aspect get it right, and pay homage to the players. Zach Vargas did a great job of it last week at ETBU, and hopefully he gets to some more games as well. I think he's going to Hendricks next week, if I remember correctly. So, for folks that think that we aren't promoting the youth of the space, we do, and we try to work with them, but we also try to give them pointers about what's going to work and what hasn't worked over the years in our whole realm.
Yeah.
Let's get back to what's in front of us here. They're doing the starting lineups here. We're going to be done in about 4 minutes or so here, JB, but give me your thoughts here. We did a quick review of this game, and while they do this announcement, I'll let you have it first. How do you think this game plays out? And how does it get to the score you predicted?
Well, I think it's going to be a low-scoring defensive struggle with a lot of run, play action potentially early on, and it'll kind of come down to what team sort of either makes the first mistake, whether it's a turnover or the field position situation. I have a feeling it'll be close at the half, and then, like we saw in the Stag Bowl, Coach Spencer is really good at the halftime adjustments, and I think we'll see a determined Cardinals team come out in the second half and sort of put this one away. As you mentioned, when you saw the Titans last year against Whitewater, they kind of faded. Hopefully Coach Jennings has got his guys in shape and has coached them to know that they got to go a full 60 minutes. And you're really going to have to go like a full 60, 70, 80 plus minutes type of thing. You have to have that energy to hang with a team as talented as North Central. So it should be an interesting battle, a strength versus strength in certain respects. And we'll be curious to see how this new quarterback plays for the Cardinals. He's got some big shoes to fill. Luke Lennon went, 57-2 or something in his career or whatever it was. So, no pressure.
Let's see, he started in all 60 games, right? Or no, 59 games because of the Carnegie Mellon no contest situation. And then lost only 2 Stag Bowls in that time. So he was 57-2, I believe, in his career. Yeah. JB, I think we're going to see a slow but sure spread in this game where the North Central front on both sides of the ball will start exhausting the Oshkosh fronts. And so I think that we'll have a 14-7-ish type game early on in the first half, and then the spread's going to start to happen, I think, around that third quarter area. That's why I think – I can't remember the exact score I stated yesterday, but it's going to widen, going away. That's the benefit that North Central has, I think, is that they are a little bit deeper than Oshkosh. And in a game like this, that matters a lot. So I think that, it's going to be good at first. But the key is if Oshkosh is going to win this game, as Coach Jennings said they would, that they're going to have to basically keep it close and get the turnover margin in their direction. Time possession and turnover margin are closely related. We know that. Those stats, if they are in Oshkosh's favor, I think they have a real chance in this game. I'm not saying anything earth-shattering by saying that, but that's what you got to look for. If you don't see a score, but you see those stats, you're probably going to know who's winning this game and by how much in this situation. Time possession, you don't have Luke Lanning probably just jetting 80 yards because they fell asleep, covering him down the field. I don't think you have that here. You have good quality quarterbacks, obviously, because they're D1 transfers. We get that, but or at least 2 of them are. But whether or not that's going to pan out the same way, it's not going to be full speed ahead or full steam ahead, I don't think, right off the bat for the whoever's quarterback here today. What does Oshkosh have to do to win? Let's say that your prediction, my prediction are wrong. besides what I stated, what else needs to happen?
Well, I think, like you said, with the potential of more than one quarterback playing, maybe Oshkosh needs to collect a bad snap or two, particularly if it's in the north central side of the field, and capitalize on some short field and turnover situations. I think they need to get the ball to London Little however they can. That guy has world-class sprinter speed. I mean, even though Romarian Roby is a bigger, probably physically stronger guy, he's probably not faster than Little, so they need to figure out ways to get him in space and to get him the ball where he can utilize that speed. And then the defensive line is just going to have to hang in there and take a beating from this big North Central offensive line that likes to run power, that probably will bring an H-back in to keep pounding the ball. And keep their heads on a swivel with this D1 quarterback that the North Central's brought in to try to trick him with some coverage and make him throw a pass that he's going to regret. So I think those are the keys for the Titans, and we'll see how close they come to that. Got a guy getting up off the ground. Okay. I got another update for you, Frank. Still 14-7, Mount Union over Grove City in the second quarter. One of our loyal fans, was it Dr. Hermes? Is that his nickname, I think? He was saying it's a fist fight in Grove City. The Hampton-Sydney Tigers are leading W&J 10-0. You were saying about the Pack having a tough time. They're one of their defending co-champs, is struggling a little bit. We'll see. But the Presidents are down 10-0. Looks like Frank's getting ready to.
There we are. Sorry about that, JB.
Okay.
But I was just saying that game was one of those.
I heard the word evacuation, and I'm like, wait, what? Come on.
I'm gone. What's this, Indiana suddenly? No, I was talking about that Hampton-Sydney game against W&J, correct? And an important game.
Well, I didn't hear what you said, but yeah.
Well, I was saying I was watching that game in terms of how that would play out. And, if W&J struggles again, they were talking a lot about themselves and about the respect level that they expected coming into the season. And they're kind of just shooting themselves in the foot right out of the starting gate. So interesting happenings there for sure.
Yeah. Hope College just tied it up against Franklin. It's still early in that one. Both teams have scored on their opening possession, so it's 7-7 with 10:25 left to go in the first quarter. I have a feeling that the Dutchmen out there at Hope?
Yes.
In Holland,
Flying
Michigan.
Dutchman, right?
So, yeah, I think they'll probably pull away in this one, but it looks like that might be a high-scoring game.
JB, I think it's time for us to sign off, as the teams still are not approaching the field quite yet, but good to be out here again.
I got to get to the Letterman's Club.
Well, you have fun at the LSU game tonight.
Yes, sir.
Folks, thanks for watching, and if we end up with a surprise here for only the fifth time in D3Football.com top 25 history, where a number one gets knocked off, if that were to happen, we'll come back here live after this game. So see what happens. If you see it happen, you know where to come back and tune in to. Thanks for joining us again. We'll see you later.
Thanks for